Episode 88.
Late again, Potter,
Said Snape coldly as Harry hurried into the candlelit classroom.
10 points from Gryffindor.
Harry scowled at Snape as he flung himself into the seat beside Ron. Half the class was still on its feet, taking out books and organizing their things. He could not be much later than any of them.
Before we start, I want your Dementor essays,
said Snape, waving his wand carelessly, so that 25 scrolls of parchment soared into the air and landed in a neat pile on his desk.
And I hope for your sakes they are better than the tripe I had to endure on resisting the Imperious curse. Now, if you will all open your books to page... What is it, Mr. Finnegan?
Sir, said Seamus, I've been wondering, how do you tell the difference between an Inferius and a ghost? Because there was something in the paper about an Inferius.
No, there wasn't, said Snape in a bored voice.
But, sir, I heard people talking.
If you had actually read the article in question, Mr. Finnegan, you would have known that the so-called Inferius was nothing but a smelly sneak thief by the name of Mundungus Fletcher.
I thought Snape and Mundungus were on the same side, muttered Harry to Ron and Hermione. Shouldn't he be upset Mundungus has been arrested?
But Potter seems to have a lot to say on the subject, said Snape, pointing suddenly at the back of the room, his black eyes fixed on Harry. Let us ask Potter how we would tell the difference between an Inferius and a ghost.
The whole class looked around at Harry, who hastily tried to recall what Dumbledore had told him the night they had gone to visit Slughorn. Well, ghosts are transparent, he said.
Oh, very good, interrupted Snape, his lip curling. Yes, it is easy to see that nearly 6 years of magical education have not been wasted on you, Potter. Ghosts are transparent.
Pansy Parkinson let out a high-pitched giggle. Several other people were smirking. Harry took a deep breath and continued calmly, though his insides were boiling. Yeah, ghosts are transparent, but Inferi are dead bodies, aren't they? So they'd be solid.
A 5-year-old could have told us as much, sneered Snape. The Inferius is a corpse that has been reanimated by a dark wizard's spells. It is not alive. It is merely used like a puppet to do the wizard's bidding. A ghost, as I trust that you are all aware by now, is the imprint of a departed soul left upon the earth. And, of course, as Potter so wisely tells us, transparent.
Well, what Harry said is the most useful if we're trying to tell them apart, said Ron. When we come face to face with one down a dark alley, we're going to be having a shufty to see if it's solid, aren't we? We're not going to be asking, excuse me, are you the imprint of a departed soul?
There was a ripple of laughter, instantly quelled by the look Snape gave the class.
Another 10 points from Gryffindor, said Snape. I would expect nothing more sophisticated from you, Ronald Weasley. The boy so solid he cannot apparate half an inch across a room.
No!
whispered Hermione, grabbing Harry's arm as he opened his mouth furiously.
There's no point. You'll just end up in detention again. Leave it.
Now, open your books to page 213, said Snape, smirking a little, and read the first 2 paragraphs on the Cruciatus curse.
Ron was very subdued all through the class. When the bell sounded at the end of the lesson, Lavender caught up with Ron and Harry. Hermione mysteriously melted out of sight as she approached, and abused Snape hotly for his jibe about Ron's apparition. But this seemed merely to irritate Ron, and he shook her off by making a detour into the boys' bathroom with Harry.
Snape's right, though, isn't he?
said Ron, after staring into a cracked mirror for a minute or two.
I don't know whether it's worth me taking the test. I just can't get the hang of apparition." "You might as well do the extra practice sessions in Hogsmeade and see where they get you," said Harry, reasonably. "It'll be more interesting than trying to get into a stupid hoop anyway. Then, if you're still not, as good as you'd like to be, you can postpone the test. Do it with me over the summer." "Myrtle! This is the boys' bathroom!" The ghost of a girl had risen out of the toilet in a cubicle beside them and was now floating in midair, staring at them through thick, white, round glasses.
"Oh," she said glumly, "it's you too."
"Who were you expecting?" said Ron, looking at her in the mirror.
"Nobody," said Myrtle, picking moodily at a spot on her chin. "He said he'd come back and see me, but then you said you'd pop in and visit me too."
She gave Harry a reproachful look.
"And I haven't seen you for months and months. I've learned not to expect too much from boys."
"I thought you lived in that girl's bathroom," said Harry, who had been careful to give the place a wide berth for some years now.
"I do," she said with a sulky little shrug, "but that doesn't mean I can't visit other places. I came and saw you in your bath once, remember?"
"Vividly," said Harry.
"But I thought he liked me," she said plaintively. "Maybe if you two left, he'd come back again. We had lots in common. I'm sure he felt it."
And she looked hopefully toward the door. "When you say you had lots in common," said Ron, sounding rather amused now, "do you mean he lives in an S-Bend too?"
"No,"
said Myrtle defiantly, her voice echoing loudly around the old tiled bathroom.
"I mean he's sensitive. People bully him too, and he feels lonely and hasn't got anybody to talk to. And he's not afraid to show his feelings and cry."
"There's been a boy in here crying?" said Harry curiously. "A young boy?"
"Never you mind," said Myrtle,
her small, leaky eyes fixed on Ron, who was now definitely grinning.
"I promised I wouldn't tell anyone, and I'll take his secret to the—"
"Not the grave, surely," said Ron with a snort. "The sewers, maybe." Myrtle gave a howl of rage and dived back into the toilet, causing water to slop over the sides and onto the floor. Goading Myrtle seemed to have put fresh heart into Ron. "You're right," he said, swinging his school bag back over his shoulder. "I'll do the practice sessions in Hogsmeade before I decide about taking the test." And so the following weekend, Ron joined Hermione and the rest of the sixth years who would turn 17 in time to take the test in a fortnight. Harry felt rather jealous watching them all get ready to go into the village. He missed making trips there, and it was a particularly fine spring day, one of the first clear skies they had seen in a long time. However, he had decided to use the time to attempt another assault on the Room of Requirement.
"You do better,"
said Hermione when he confided this plan to Ron and her in the entrance hall,
"to go straight to Slughorn's office and try to get that memory from him."
"I've been trying," said Harry crossly, which was perfectly true. He had lagged behind after every potions lesson that week in an attempt to corner Slughorn. But the potions master always left the dungeon so fast that Harry had not been able to catch him. Twice Harry had gone to his office and knocked, but received no reply, though on the second occasion he was sure he had heard the quickly stifled sounds of an old gramophone. "He doesn't want to talk to me, Hermione. He can tell I've been trying to get him on his own again, and he's not going to let it happen."
"Well, you've just got to keep at it, haven't you?"
The short queue of people waiting to file past Filch, who was doing his usual prodding act with the secrecy censor, moved forward a few steps, and Harry did not answer in case he was overheard by the caretaker. He wished Ron and Hermione both luck, then turned and climbed the marble staircase again,
determined, whatever Hermione said, to devote an hour or two to the Room of Requirement.